I've been talking about imagination as an amazing tool for healing. I've also talked about DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, which was created by Marsha Linehan. It's really a wonderful therapy tool. I don't know, it's an experience. I'm not actually a DBT therapist, but I am DBT informed, and I use a lot of Marsha Linehan's material in my work as I find it so grounding. It helps clients with self regulation and feeling like they can really manage intense um, emotional energy. A lot of people have experienced trauma. Um, the clients I've worked with, a lot of them have experienced some type of trauma. And if not trauma, then just intense emotions from the time they were very young that makes life feel very challenging to manage. So techniques such as those offered in DBT are just extremely helpful. It's not the only modality that I use. I use a lot of modalities, and I draw from neuroscience, and definitely, incorporate meditation and breath work and energy clearing, many beautiful tools that are available. I bring them together. I do amalgamate them all, and it works very effectively. But today, I want to just read from a few of the card decks. I've talked in a recent clinical insight about some of the cards that I use. I use a lot of different cards, but I'm reading from the DBT deck for clients and therapists by Dr. Lane Pedersen. So Lane has taken the 4 tenets of DBT and placed them on cards to make the DBT experience much more manageable. There's so much information that Marsha Linehan has contributed with regard to DBT. It's incredible. I mean, her brain is phenomenal, and her ability to organize all of this information is definitely impressive because it's a lot. It's a lot. But she's done such a beautiful way of organizing the information and then teaching therapists and clinicians how to use this with clients. It's just been so effective and so grounding. So I'm going to read from a few of the cards from Dr. Lane's card deck. And then I'm going to read from the Clarity cards by Girls Gone Happy, just because they're fun. And then the 4 Agreements card deck by Don Miguel Ruiz, which is a complement to his book, 4 Agreements. Cards are a very simple, manageable way to maintain your mental health and your emotional health daily if you don't feel like you have a lot of time, or if the idea of managing your mental health just seems overwhelming. Okay. Some people are in therapy on a regular basis. Some people participate in ongoing support groups. They belong to mastermind groups. There's so many different ways to protect your mental health. Being with a therapist is just one way. Of course, there's life coaches. Sometimes people really achieve their mental health by being a part of a sports team or some type of group. It could be a book club or a debate club or Toastmasters. For many years of my career, I managed a drug and alcohol treatment program. I was the program director and of this particular program. And one of my clients, he went through the recovery program, but one of the things he did from day one was he would get up, and he was surfing at 5 a.m. because he was a surfer before his addiction, and he was probably going to be a surfer through the addiction and, once he achieved recovery. So he surfed every morning before coming into, a chemical dependency treatment group with me in the morning and other, addicts and alcoholics in recovery. And he would just talk about riding the waves. And that, he said, was his church. So he definitely was there on Sunday mornings. Pretty much, surfed like 5 or 6 days a week with a group of people that were actually clean and sober. And when he completed the treatment program, he'd gone to 12-step meetings. He'd gotten a sponsor because that was required as part of our treatment protocol. But he said, I'm really grateful for the program, but I know when I say goodbye to all of you today, I'm probably not going to continue going to 12-step meetings, AA or NA, because I've really found my bliss. I've really found my healing on the water. He said, I always had surfing. It's always been a part of my life. But now I'm surfing with people who are also in recovery, clean and sober. And that's our church. And that's our meeting. We meet on the water, and the waves cleanse us. So everybody's different and there's no judgment. Everybody has to find their path. Everyone has to find their way. And there's an infinite number of ways for us to heal and recenter and reground after trauma and heal our lives and put the puzzle pieces back together again, right? We can all get back on point. The point is to just do something. Find what works for you. So from the cards today, I'm going to read on emotional regulation. And let's begin there. So, because I talk about it a lot, right? So you may as well know exactly what it is. Emotion regulation skills decrease vulnerabilities to intense emotions, increase positive emotions, build a sense of confidence and competence, and allow people to act opposite to behaviors that keep them stuck in unwanted emotions. Emotion regulation skills have both immediate and long-term benefits, and as such, should be practiced each day. Contemplate how your life would improve with more balanced emotions. And that's from the DBT deck for clients and therapists. Now let's read from the Clarity deck. Silence. Where is there just too much noise right now? How can you bring more silence into the space where you are questioning? What feelings and associations do you have around silence that need to be worked on too? Some people really have trouble with silence. I noticed some of the more gregarious personalities, more of the extroverted, extreme extroverted personalities get nervous if it's too quiet. So let's take parties, for example. When we think of party, most of the time we think of, excitement, noise, music, maybe loud, people, maybe people drinking alcohol, dancing, maybe a live band. Depending on the type of party, there may be entertainment or fireworks, but we think of, activity, right? Most of the time we think of those types of parties, but more introverted humans, they might have a party that's very quiet. You might go in and there may be classical music playing or no music at all, because the point of the party is for people to engage and talk with one another. You could have a meditation party where nobody's speaking at all. They're just laying on yoga mats, doing yoga, eye gazing, that type of thing. Parties mean different things to different people, but some of us are uncomfortable in the silence. Some people need music to go to sleep, or they need the TV on, or they have to have something playing in the background while they study. And there's no judgment against that. I definitely sometimes like to listen to music before I go to sleep. And sometimes I find it more peaceful to just be in the silence as I fall asleep. But where are you uncomfortable with silence? Where do you need more silence in your life? And what are your feelings? What comes up for you as you think about being in silence? Does that make you nervous, or is that centering or calming for you? When you ask questions like this, you don't have to crack the code and come up with an answer. It's really the pondering that in and of itself is self-regulating. Believe it or not, that creates emotional regulation. And now from the Four Agreements card, this category is be impeccable with your word. And the card reads, replace fear with love. The human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. When you are impeccable with your word, your mind is no longer fertile ground for the words that come from fear. Your mind is only fertile for the words that come from love. Pondering that is emotional regulation. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Inhale and exhale. There's parts of you, conscious and subconscious, that are integrating all of this. So you don't have to worry or stress and try to get it. There's no quiz or test at the end. Just allow yourself to calmly integrate. And as I'm reading to you, just breathe. Just breathe. So also from the DBT deck, this topic is called the other side. We often default to the negative aspects of ourselves or situations. Look to the other side of the dialectic. And by the way, dialectic means the synthesis of opposites, the dialectic. What is also true? I'm not feeling great right now, for example. I mean, I do feel great, but I'm using that as an example. If I'm not feeling great, I can sit in the space of recognizing that I'm not feeling great, while at the same time, be fully aware of all the things that are great in my life. For example, I might not physically feel well, but I have love in my life. I love animals and they love me. And I have people in my life that are great, great friends, great family. I love my job. I get to interface with a lot of amazing humans on a daily basis. So it's the dialectic, the synthesis of opposites. So look to the other side of the dialectic. Ask yourself, what is the hidden opportunity in a problem that you have? Find the silver lining. What strengths, resiliencies, or resources do you have, even in the middle of problems? Play to your strengths. What skills can you practice? And what can you get better at? How do you manage your crisis better? Aim to be more skillful. From the Clarity deck, inner sight. You already know the answer. Say it out loud. Towards what within it do you have resistance? So you already have the answer. Say it out loud towards the experience that is bringing up resistance. How interesting. So if you're feeling fear or anxiety or stress about something, you have a specific issue, what this card is saying, that the inner sight is already within you. You have the answer. Speak it out loud. Bring it outside of you towards the very thing that you have resistance about. What do you want to do about this? Very empowering to recognize that the answers are already within us. One of my mentors used to say, everything you need is already in your hands. It's already within your grasp. And then from the Four Agreements deck, don't make assumptions. Learn to ask questions. It is always better to ask questions than to make assumptions. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. Once you hear the answer to a question, you won't have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. And I think this is a great opportunity to remind us of the difference between being self-referent and object-referent. When we're object-referent, we go outside of us to get the answers. And when we're self-referent, we go within to get the answers. It's not like either one is better than the other. However, being self-referent is something that you should employ on a regular basis because it is very grounding and centering to remind yourself and to anchor in the fact that you do have answers within. There's nothing wrong with getting advice from others, right? We sometimes go to mentors or we'll read an encyclopedia or an almanac, right? We all do that. We research history to be able to find out the facts. And science is supposed to be based on facts. I love neuroscience when it genuinely, when we can prove that something is factual. And yet at the same time, because we're mind, body, spirit, energy, and we're living in a vast universe where the quantum field has infinite, gosh, I almost said intimate possibility, intimate and infinite possibilities. We're not always going to be able to know everything, and science isn't going to crack every code because there will always be more information to learn. But that said, we already do have answers within us. Some of those things are information that we learned, we studied, and then there's other information that's just organic, it's innate. We just know what we know. And so it's a beautiful gift to ourselves to be self-referent, to go within, to get the answers first. What that means is we just check in with ourselves first to see what we believe to be true. We can still get research, we can do our due diligence, we can change our mind, we can mix and match, a little bit of what we believe with something we've heard from someone else, something we've learned. But being self-referent is truly a beautiful gift that supports emotional regulation. But let's say that you're in a space where you're extremely dysregulated. You don't feel like you have the answers. You feel like you're wigging out and you just need to be grounded. You feel like you're making mistakes. You don't even trust your gut. You're afraid to make the wrong mistake. Then by all means, be object referent, get some grounding, get some outside help, see a practitioner or read a meditation or do an affirmation or go to a breath class, do something, go outside of yourself and get the help. It's available. So being object referent is not bad or wrong. It can be very, very helpful when you need support. And going within, being self-referent, can also be extremely grounding and self-regulating. So now let's talk about what it is to tolerate stress or distress tolerance. This is from the DBT deck. Many people cope with stress and crisis by getting into behaviors that provide relief, but at a great cost. Examples of these ineffective behaviors include alcohol and drug use, self-injury, gambling, spending money, and overeating. As an alternative, we can learn and practice distress tolerance skills to manage stress and crisis in ways that help without having after effects and make our lives worse. To start, make 2 lists. List 1 is your ineffective coping behaviors, and list 2 is your healthy coping behaviors. Everyone has at least a few healthy coping behaviors. Your goal is to eliminate the behaviors on the first list while developing the behaviors on the second list. From the Clarity deck, it's called the Artist. How could you be more creative here? What's keeping you from being more creative? How will you work with this blockage? Take a nice deep breath, in through the nose and out through the nose. Your brain is integrating all kinds of new ideas as you listen to this audio. Even if you're checked out, even if my voice bores you and you fall asleep, it's totally okay. If you're listening to this at a conscious and subconscious level, you are integrating new ways of being, new ways of self-regulating, new ways of calming the nervous system and your brain and your body to some degree with each and every breath are syncing up. The right and left brain hemispheres are syncing together. You're oxygenating your brain. You're breathing probably diaphragmatically and you don't even realize it. As you're listening to my voice, you're taking in the tone of my voice. You're taking in the actual information and you're breathing. And in this way, you are self-soothing. So bravo. Bravo for listening. Even if you don't get it, even if you think it's boring, you're here and you're doing something really nice for yourself. So congratulations. From the Four Agreements deck, the category is don't take anything personally. And it says, become immune to poison. The whole world can gossip about you. And if you don't take it personally, you are immune. Immunity to poison in the middle of hell is the gift of the second agreement. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. If you haven't read the Four Agreements by, Don Miguel Ruiz, I really encourage you to. It's a beautiful book. It's very grounding, very centering, very spiritual in nature, and perfect for strong mental and emotional health. I'm going to read that last part again. Gosh, immunity to poison in the middle of hell is the gift of the second agreement. Wow. Okay, I have to just say this before I end this talk. The reason I love that so much, to be powerful and positive and self-regulate in the middle of your personal hell, is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself. I've actually talked about this so many times with my clients. There's some things we know about resilience. Neuroscience will support this, but if you just observe people, it's never so resilience isn't determined by what you've been through. It's how you show up in the middle of it. This is super powerful. If you can get this and integrate this into your life, you'll be so strong. So, people have been through war, they've been through famine and poverty and whatever you think of as the most deplorable acts of, humankind, things that people have done to other humans and things that people have been through, horrible things all over the world. There's somebody going through that right now as you're listening to this audio and as I'm recording this audio. Somebody on the planet is going through the worst hell of their life, unfortunately. Something painful, traumatic, difficult. In fact, there's two people, at least, going through the exact same thing in that country, in that corner of the world. And one of those people has already given up. They don't see how they're going to get through this personal hell. It's too much. It's awful. They just want to just die. As sad as this is true. There's somebody in the world going through the worst hell of their life, and they do not see how they're going to get through it. They don't see the purpose of it, and they've lost all hope. But the dialectic is also true. There's someone else going through that exact same thing, perhaps in that same city, that same town, that same corner of the world, or maybe somewhere else. But they're going through the exact same thing. They have no answers, but they've already decided within themselves, in the middle of the personal hell, that they're going to get through this. One way or another, they're going to survive. And maybe they'll share their story with somebody. And if they can just get through this one breath at a time, and they share their story with one person, then their life has meaning. They've already decided. They're not out of the hole. They're still in the middle of the hell. but their resilience is shining through because they have made a decision. And in that way, they're immune to poison and they are already resilient. And so the brain is very interesting when we make a decision internally, when we decide we're going to get through this. We do. We just do, one way or another. I can attest to this personally as a trauma survivor. I am a trauma survivor. I have other relatives that are trauma survivors. I don't ever share their story because their story is not my story to share. But I do sometimes share my own. And I have to say, I wouldn't be the person that I am, and I wouldn't be able to help all of the people that I've been so blessed and fortunate to meet in my lifetime if I hadn't found the ability to decide I was going to get through my personal hell. Before I knew anything about neuroscience, before I even knew I wanted to be a clinician, I knew that I wanted to help people. That I knew from a very young age. I knew that I wanted to get through pain and suffering and enjoy a happier existence. And something inside of me knew that this couldn't be all that there is. It had to get better than this. And so I integrated a strength and a confidence, even though I didn't have any clear answers. But that was enough for my brain and my nervous system to calm. That was enough for me to self-regulate. My brain became sharp like a locomotive, and I dialed into what I was capable of. And that's, my resilience came from me just deciding I wanted to get through my personal hell and help as many people as I possibly could. In fact, I decided I wanted to snatch as many people from their hell and darkness as possible. I decided that when I was very young. By the age of 17, I knew I was going to do whatever the heck I had to do to help as many people as I possibly could. That was decided. How I was going to do it, wasn't quite sure. But I knew I was going to do it. And in order for me to help people, and it was like my attitude then, and my attitude is still this way, but I'm very calm about it. But internally, I'm going to do whatever the F I need to do to help people that want the help. I can't help anyone who doesn't want the help. But if you come to me and you want help and you are genuinely ready to do the work, you will heal. That I know for sure. You will absolutely heal. Not because I'm going to heal you, because you already decided that that's what you want. I'm just going to show you how to get there. I'm confident in what I can do. I know I'm good at helping people. And people who want to help themselves, man, we can be a dynamic duo. Anyway, resilience shows up when you make the decision that one way or another, you're going to get through this hell. You may not know how you're going to do it. Doesn't matter. You just know you're going to do it. And when you have that attitude, when you launch from that platform, mind, body, spirit, energy, everything within your brain and your nervous system come together in such a powerful way. Your cells will show up for you. Your organs will show up for you. Your immune system will show up for you because you've decided that you're in it to win it and that the game is not over. Very, very powerful to know who you are and to decide, even without knowing how you're going to get through it, you're going to get through it. And that's it. That's all there is to it. You're going to get through it, and that's all there is to it. Well, I think that's a great place to end for today. Breathe deep, my friends. Blessings on your mental health and emotional health journeys. You can self-regulate. You can tolerate distress in ways that you didn't even know were possible. Just decide right here and right now that you're worth it and that you're doing it. You may not know how you're going to do it, but you're going to do it. And that's all there is to it.